Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Black and Abroad, an interview series highlighting the lived experiences of Black expats around the world. I am Kendall Tyson, your host, licensed therapist, and fellow Black expat. So today we are taking a bit of a departure from our normal one-to-one episodes and sessions that we have, and we are having a panel discussion today titled Black Men Abroad, where we discuss openly with a few amazing Black men that I know in the city. So I would really like everyone to take the opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Okay, we're going alphabetical order here. Okay.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Seriously.
If you I was already on the YouTube, so if you
tell me, you better be glad I got a good editing feature on my computer.
Yeah, so you can check that out, and yeah, next person.
And your name is?
Oh, I'm Shaggy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next person.
So I'm Shari. I'm an expert here in Beijing, /student /worker. Check out the YouTube channel, Black and Abroad. Especially give you different views on your lifestyle. Yeah. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Kian. Nice to meet you. Definitely check out the YouTube channel, Black and Abroad. And thanks for Kindle for definitely putting me up on this.
Thank you so much, guys. So if everyone doesn't know, this is going to be Black and Abroad, Caribbean Men Edition. And I'm grateful, right? Everybody chose to participate. I'm excited. And I think that we're going to have a really quality discussion. So if you followed the show, then you know that we talk about all things mental health. What is it to be, Black living in a country outside of your home? How do you contend with that? What does community look like? It's a very layered discussion, and it's a very honest discussion. So I hope that you glean something from this conversation. And we're going to start with the first question that I like to get into is, tell me, how did you venture into living in China? Do y'all want me to ask somebody to start? Because being a former educator, people sit in silence until you go first.
Yeah, you be the teacher and guide us.
I'm very good at directing, trust me. Okay, so let's go with Sherry. Did I say it right? I know I said it wrong.
Hey, you're good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. You said that you're a student. So how'd you get to Beijing?
So basically, after years of discussion, I followed my older brother, Shaggy here, to here in Beijing. So it was mainly two options. Having family here is one, and education was relatively much cheaper here compared to the rest of the world. So I'm an independent student, so basically it wasn't like my parents or myself. It was mainly just me paying for everything. So choosing the cheapest option was great. And thank God I did, especially the pressure my brother gave me. It was like negative pressure, but thankfully he gave it to me because my experience here the past 5 years has been amazing. I'm so grateful that he put that pressure on me, like, hey, get over here. Like, you broke it. I've loved it here ever since. I have no plans on leaving. Yeah, that's about it in short for the question.
Okay, thank you. It sounds as if you're really thriving. You're finding your purpose, you're growing as a person. I think that's what we all hope to do when we make these really bold moves. Kian, what about you?
Very similar. After high school, it was either go to local university back home or get this scholarship and come over to China. And that's it. Came over in 2010. Been here since.
All right. I remember having a conversation with you before, telling me that you've been here for a while, that you've really upped your education while living over here. And I think that is a phenomenal thing. All right, Mac.
Man, where's back home?
Guyana.
Nice.
Guyana, yeah.
Hey, wait. Okay, tell us where you guys are from. If anybody had noticed, they're brothers. Okay.
Yeah, coming up from Dominica, the Nature Isle.
767, baby.
Because I was gonna say it wrong.
Yep.
Listen, blame it on Texas, okay?
I mean, there's a hell of Dominicans in Texas. Though. Next
All
time you
right,
go back,
so
I'm gonna link you with them. I'm gonna link you with them when you go
yeah,
back.
do that because you know I'm going home at some point.
I'm gonna link you with them.
All
One of
right.
my best friends lives in Texas, so
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to
actually,
it.
two of my best friends live in Texas. One in Houston, one in Dallas.
All right. So when they watch this, because you're gonna tell them about it, right? Let them
Probably
know we'll be connecting for sure. All right, Shaggy, tell us about your journey, your entrance into.
I took a
expat
plane.
life.
Yeah, I took a plane. That was
Well,
it.
we know that.
I was this was back in what, 04? Yeah. I got the opportunity by a stroke of luck, I guess. And I was one of the first 5 students to come up here. And I took the opportunity without thinking about it too much. I was offered it in May. May or June, and I was here in August.
Oh, wow.
It was just like a whim. It was literally a whim. It was either go to China and figure it out, or go to Cuba. And I'd been to Cuba before, and I wasn't like a fan of being there for a long period of time. So I was like, let me come to China and let me blaze some trails in the East. And I've always been fascinated with the East, and because it's so foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up watching like kung fu movies with my family and friends, it always seemed so bloody different that I was like, yeah, why not? Got an opportunity, let's go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been figuring it out ever since.
Okay. Well, I'm curious, y'all. Like, I know that honestly, every Black person I know, I'll go with this stereotype, is pretty family oriented, right? Whether our families are large, small, medium size. I wonder, how was that transition, like not being there with them every day? You know, were they supportive of your move? What are some things that you noticed when you decided to really take that break and forge your own path? Not saying that you wouldn't if you were back home, but putting that distance between yourself and your family and your community really does shape like the trajectory of your life. So I'm curious about that.
Let's go in order of Shariki, and then I'll go last.
All right. So having Shaggy here already for years before I came, my parents were all good for it because they knew at least you have your older brother there. That's a bit of family. He can show you around, get you used to the area. Other than that, like all parents are super supportive people. Like they believe whatever path we choose, just go do it. We'll be there for you, and that's about it. Like we birthed you, we pay for your school, we give you food and clothes. As soon as you hit like you're mature enough, do what you need to do, make sure you're proper. Like mom had, I think, 3 rules: don't go to jail, don't get someone pregnant unless you're ready. And I think the last one, at least for me, was don't get an STI. Like those are the 3 rules. Besides that, go live your life.
Those board conversations.
Those are the bullet rule, like pop, pop, pop. Don't do these. All right. And the idea of like family, like the main family were like my friends. A lot of us were also going abroad to study. Some of us were staying, and we were all just happy and excited about the journey that we're going on. We knew that we wouldn't see each other for a few years, but we're gonna grow the hell out of ourselves. That was the main point. Like that stepping stone of what life can be outside of home. I mean, we all miss our nature and our river and this ocean, but none of us would take it back. Like we're all very happy that we took that step.
Wow. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you begging for the sun, right? I mean, I know I am.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Kian, you go. I'll go last.
Yeah, just to answer your question, my mom was supporting me. She wasn't pushing me. Sometimes it kind of felt like, looking back, like she was trying to get rid of me, but just the way she was just like, yeah, you're doing this. I think she's one of those, like, you believe in speaking things out loud and just saying things and calling it into being, I guess. And final year of high school, there were not many opportunities. It was either just 1 or 2, stay local or go overseas. China was the only one at the time that had full scholarship because it was 2010. I mean, the recession was pretty much heavy all around. So she was just kind of saying, yeah, this is it. Everything was pretty much in preparation for that move to China. I couldn't take a straight flight, obviously, from South America. So I had to go to the US. So even my family there, they were like,
Right.
yeah, we're gonna get things together here because in Caribbean there's no winter, but there's definitely winter over here. So
Yes.
they're like, oh, you're gonna need you're gonna need to pick yourself up a few things while you're here. Don't worry, we're gonna get that on that end. Yeah.
Listen, we've literally been putting up our Vaseline
Oh
bottles
man.
at the start of the session.
Wait, let me go. I'll go get mine, the big one, because you gotta get a big size. Yeah,
Exactly.
that was it. Yeah.
That's okay. So I wonder, with you sharing that you kind of felt like she was trying to get rid of you. I wonder, any of you, and Shaggy will definitely get to you. Y'all kind of feel like your parents, especially your moms, see like the potential that you have, that kind of if you stay where you are, it could be a bit more stifled, or that there's more for you if they push you to break free? What do you think?
I feel like it's ironic that the three of us are the guests, and the three of us were pushed by our moms.
Yep.
Because like Shari and I, mom were like, she's like, yeah, let's go. Like, there was no debate. There was more conversation with my dad than my mom.
Yeah.
My mom was like, go. And every time I would say, like, mom, I'm coming home for vacation. She's like, why? Save your money. We can talk through FaceTime. So it was always my mom being the aggressor in the situation. And my dad is more of a traditionalist and conservative. Like, you get a job, you grind until you're dead, and you have a few kids, and that's it. Like, that's his thing. But our mom was more of the she's more of the explorer type, and like trying new things and down for new experiences. So the opportunity came for me to go, and this was in 2004. And I mean, we were talking about me leaving before,
right?
But somewhere closer by, like we were thinking about UE, which is in Trinidad, or going to Cuba, or even Florida. But China, like,
don't go to, I was gonna say not Florida.
That's like another planet. Even to this day, like, which is weird and sad to hear that the world still thinks of China as this far off place.
Right.
Like, a flight to China is pretty easy and pretty chill, but people are associated because it's the Far East. Right. The media marketing of China is like it's another planet, like, it's, but it's really not that far. But there's definitely culture shock. But my mom was always like, yeah, go do it, man. Go figure it out.
I appreciate that. I wonder if you could say anything to your mom right now, as far as gratitude, looking back on hindsight, what would you say? All of y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for sure.
You're amazing.
There's not enough words.
Yeah.
Well, choose some.
She knows all of them already. She knows.
Yeah. I think
you cannot be the only one not saying stuff.
Yeah, you remember the last video we did, right? She saw it, and she was all teary and everything. So she knows everything. Okay. She knows it all.
Ian, what were you going to say?
So I was going to say, come back to your question with if we think her mom sees the potential. I think she definitely, or all of them, they probably definitely saw the potential, because when I heard of it, I was just like, China. I tried to think of all the things I knew about China. I couldn't. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, very, very limited. It's like Shaggy said, the kung fu movies, Jackie Chan, obviously Bruce Lee and Jet Li, and that was it. I mean, the kung fu part being really big, and then obviously being in Asia, and that was pretty much most of what I could summarize. I mean, every country has relationships with China and stuff, but I was young at the time. I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of those things. And then just coming out here now, definitely thank you, because just pushing.
Hey, sorry.
Hey, someone's here. Yeah.
Hey,
no worries. Yeah.
Finish what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying thank you. Thanks for doing it. Definitely reaping the benefits now. I couldn't have seen it then, but I definitely see it now.
Yeah, I want to say, Cliff, I hope your face clean. Wash your face. You got to cut your camera on.
Gotta get your Vaseline.
Yeah, I'm about to go get this Vaseline.
All right, that's membership entry.
This is an ad. This is like an ad for this. Like,
come on.
Yeah, we got
get your Vaseline on.
Listen, we already know the winner
when
out
we
here.
put this on YouTube, when you put this on YouTube, you better tag Vaseline.
I am. They getting a free endorsement for sure. If I were to be able to say anything, I don't like to center myself in any of these conversations, right? But if I could say anything to my mother, I would definitely say Christine has always, and this is no shade on my daddy. I love my daddy. Daddy, I love you, Philip Kendall. But my mom, she just has this foresight, right? She can see beyond the now. And my mom is really spiritual, very connected, but she's always been like the foundation. And my mother and I are just alike, minus 24 years. So we used to go at it, right? Both opinionated, and y'all know me, so y'all know me. Right. But just the biggest heart. And I think she's had to learn how to let go, because in that letting go, there's an ability for your child to be set free, to be who they are destined to be, to make mistakes with a soft landing, right? So I'm wondering, like, one of the questions, I have tons of questions that I have is, as Black men in this country, community for us is really important as people. I know as men, from what I know, clearly I'm not a man. What does that mean to you? We're going to shift into a mental health conversation. What is like the concept of community look like, mean to you, and how does it help you kind of battle the experiences of being a Black man in China and the different industries that you're choosing to involve yourself in?
Okay.
Now, y'all know I'm gonna ask some deep questions, okay?
Shari, you first, and we go down that line.
I mean, community is hella important. I think I didn't give it like its full graces probably like the last 2-3 years, basically COVID era, this whole dark days.
Yeah.
Like you really take it for granted, because to you, your friends are always around. You can always talk to your mom. If you're back home, you're always your family. You're hanging out, and then this dark days came, and you realize, damn, you can take that specific part where community is taken for granted. That is your mental space. That is your like when that is ripped from you or taken away from you, realize it gives you a different perspective on life. Like community, as we are all social creatures, that like the reason for us I'm going to work and creating money. Yes, we can buy whatever Gucci bag or car or whatever dream purchase we want, but at the same time, it's going out to eat with your friends or your family, or getting your mom a specific gift and seeing her light up. Like it's not about the gift per se. It's just that seeing that happiness on her. So the fact of community is that, to me, it's, as we are social creatures, it's like one of the pinpoints of our mutual happiness. Period.
Yeah. I hear you referencing those dark days. I was stuck in the US when COVID hit. So, hey, Cliff, do you have your Vaseline?
I got you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice. There you go. Vaseline.
Yes. All right. So, community. I'm wondering what whoever else wants to respond. Everybody doesn't have to respond, but if you have a response, I want you to be free, be open, go for it.
I'll pop in something here. I was like, not to go deep in my family history, but like my younger brother Shari, he came 11 years after I was born. So I was raised pretty solo, and I've always been a loner. My parents both worked. I was either home with the dog or by myself. And I've always taken that along with me, because that's how I was pretty much raised, by myself. So being alone has always been comfortable with me. I love me time. I don't like a lot of people around me. I've always been that way. And even, I mean, high school, I had friends, of course. Coming here, I had friends, of course, but I always considered my me time my valuable time. And to an extent, I still do. But now, especially like Charlie said, going through COVID, that showed you the value of, it showed you what is valuable, right? COVID proved like going to the club doesn't exist, which means fashion game doesn't exist. Popping bottles doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Working doesn't exist. So it leaves you to a very limited amount of things that you can entertain yourself with. And having a coffee, friends, walking down the street, going to a river, on the beach, those things are what are really valuable, especially going through this time. So now, over the last few years, I've been like trying to rekindle my community, talking to my friends back home more, being closer to my family. and Shari's here as well. And now I'm expecting a daughter. I'm building my own community now.
Wait, it's a baby girl?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a queen.
Congratulations.
It's a queen. It's a queen.
Gosh, that's so exciting.
Finally,
It's a
finally,
queen.
finally.
And so thinking about, her and having to develop community for her around her, we
Yeah.
are all, they always say like it takes a tribe, takes a village.
Yeah.
And having that around, and she's a biracial kid coming into being born in China, away from both families.
Yeah.
Community is needed. It's definitely
Yeah.
needed now to keep her upbringing good.
Right.
So I've been, community means a lot more to me now than it did when I came here.
Yeah.
So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Cliff, can you cut your mic on?
Oh, your mic's on, but mic's off.
You're unmuted.
Hey
We
guys,
have a guest, everyone. Cliff, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
hello everyone. My name is Cliff. I'm from the Bahamas. I've been living here in Beijing for about 9 years now.
Were you here that long?
Yeah, I came to school here. I came here in 2013 for school,
Mm-hmm.
my bachelor's and my master's degree here.
Oh, wow. Y'all just taking in all the education that China has to offer. Please keep doing it, okay? So would anybody else like to comment on the concept of community? Because I definitely have a follow-up for you. Community as a Black man expat in Beijing.
Is that the question?
No, well, just that's not the question.
Your input on the topic.
Okay.
Do y'all want to comment, Kian or Cliff?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's definitely important. Being here for the first time, you have people that you're going to class with or your classmates. You'll probably be the only foreigner sometimes, and you have that community. Then you have people that are in your dorm. Then you have Caribbean friends, and then you have other. Maybe if you work somewhere else, you have work friends, and there's just a lot of different friends around. However, sometimes you kind of ask yourself, who would you actually call if you're in a difficult position, or if something really happens?
Yes.
Or if you have something happen to you in an emergency, who would you call?
Yeah.
Like that, and being here for a while, your friend groups, or I should say, immediate people around you, definitely shifts every 3 years or so. You kind of have to, keep putting yourself out there. Sometimes meeting new people. But Beijing is the kind of place where, well, not before COVID, obviously, but every 2 weeks you'd meet brand new people every 2 weeks, and then every 3 years those new people would recycle, and then again it's another set of people and then it's like, okay, who are you keeping up with? Because that's time, energy, money, and just keeping your friends circle close and tight is very important. So I think, yeah, definitely having community here, definitely.
I agree. Cliff?
Yeah, I agree that with having a good, positive community, emphasis on positive.
I was just gonna like
having like positive people around you, as a Black man, like, and living at the speed, it's like totally different, I feel, because like you said, you're pretty much even though there's a large expat community here, you're still the minority here, I guess you can say. And when you put yourself in, if you look at it in that way, then every day you travel, you have to go through different types of situation as a foreigner here living in China. And especially with COVID now, since it started, like it's been, more pressure being put on people. And, a lot of people had like maybe families, relying on them back home for like money and stuff like that, and like support and stuff. And, when you look at it, it's you having to make sure that you keep into that positive space and positive mindset, whereas that you continue like, keeping up with the people that in your life that are helping you out and having good support around you, because if not, then you can like kind of fall short and fall by the way, lose your way sometimes. So I believe that community and having some positive enforcement in your life and help is very important, you know.
I agree. I really appreciate, everybody's sentiment. And something that was shared earlier, I think by Sherry, was that and Shaq, well, actually everybody, is that what community looked like pre-COVID is very different post-COVID. And it sounds as if there is a level of a deeper level of intentionality. It's just because, to piggyback off the positive, just because somebody's with you or in your circle doesn't mean that that's a good thing for you. And in the transient nature of living abroad, just unfortunately an experience, I've learned that people that you think are rowing in your boat are actually drilling holes in your boat. And how do you come to terms with that and be open enough to invite new people in? Because this is a lonely place to exist on your own. And then not being of the majority, being a small minority and a small community that we come from as Black people under the umbrella of Black people in the diaspora. I wonder what's one thing that you could say that you've had to tap into to really be more intentional with the individuals that you keep in your closer knit circle? What is something that you've had to do?
I'm gonna go first here.
Go for it.
For me, I think it's because of our mom and Shag's mom, she's a very social butterfly. Like she's back home, anywhere we go, they would say Verin's son, or her nickname Shilling's son. Like we have her face and they would always switch. Like she knew everybody. So like how Shaq said earlier, he's more, he loves his lone zone. I took more after my mom. I'm a social butterfly as well. So whenever I meet new people, I automatically just give my natural percentage of energy.
Right.
And it's never truly been draining. The con is that if you do get close to someone and then that falls apart, it aches a bit. But after a certain period of time, as you mature, you learn that people have lives and things happen. And it's never really a blame game that it's their fault or my fault. Life just happens. Stuff just happens and you go on. And like I have my close friends from back home and we can't talk every day, time zone difference, can't meet up, can't like they have like this whole Discord video, watch movies together. But I have 12-hour difference. I'm not going to stay up at like 10 p.m., 12 p.m. to watch a 3-hour movie or something with them. And they don't mind because we all realize that we are close enough as friends that even though we're far apart, we talk once or twice a month. It's good.
Yeah.
And in meeting new people, I still give my natural amount of energy, but I don't really expect like a bond to form. Like in this moment, we're cool or vibing, great. Will I see you again? Who knows? If I do, we'll vibe again and then the pillars will build. If the pillars fall, well, that's life, Another pillar will build tomorrow.
Okay. So it sounds as if the importance of being resilient and knowing that just because one situation doesn't work out, it is key to be able to push forward.
Yeah.
And not take things personally. That's something that I had to learn. I'm still learning that.
It's also the fact that it's more about sometimes you can get into your own head and think, oh, we'll have this friendship forever. It's more about, nah, just enjoy the moment.
Yeah, okay.
When the friendship falls, or God forbid, someone falls ill or perishes, it can happen at any point in time. So just take your stride, enjoy every day, enjoy every moment, and hopefully life gets better and better.
Right.
I've never been the BFF type.
Yeah.
Even growing up, I've never been the BFF person. Like I said, I'm pretty much of a loner, and I'm quiet, I'm reserved in that sense, and I was always that way. So friendships for me, they take a long time to develop, and I never tell that to the other person though. So they might be like a shy social butterfly, and they're like coming at me with all this energy, thinking that it's gonna benefit the friendship, but I'm like, that don't matter. Like, and I don't vocalize that at all. So it's like it either you're in for the long haul or you're not. Like I don't say anything. So it has to just naturally progress, and then it develops. Like I'm a person that believes in just slow growth. So,
Okay.
but I don't vocalize that. So if you're on the other end, and sorry, whoever's seen this on YouTube and they think that, I'm sorry, but I'm just that kind of person. So I wait for things to develop and I just let nature take its course. And
Well, I really want to dive into that because I know just in the work that I do, we all have different experiences. We show up differently. We're coming from different places to this place. And so you meet people and you may not really understand, you know, is this a friendship? Does this person like me? So what is communication, Shaggy? What is communication of your needs, your wants, your boundaries as people? What does that look like when you're living here, forming these bonds, being in a relationship with people,
like
and
Shari
really want to
said,
be understood?
like Shari said, he's like my mom, I'm like my dad.
Yeah.
My dad doesn't communicate, and I'm still working on that.
Okay.
I communicate when needed. I'm a man of few words. I'm not the loudest guy. Like if I have a few drinks in me, I might get a little loud, but apart from that, I'm chill. So communication has always been like an issue, but I do emphasize communication where it matters. So in my relationship, communication matters 1,000,000%, you know, but when it comes, like everything has a important hierarchy in my mind.
Okay.
And my relationship takes priority. Communication is 100%. Friendships, they're in the middle. Acquaintances, they're like I don't communicate at all unless there's something to communicate.
I hear you.
So that's how I deal with it. I don't know if it's good or not, but that's how it is. And like Shari will tell you, like he will come with all the energy towards me, and I'll just be like, white paint, like nothing. Like he'll get nothing in return. Like there's nothing.
That's fine. I'm used to it. Again, just like our dad.
So you
how
know
I
not
am.
to take it personally.
Yeah, I will communicate to you when I need to communicate to you, and I will keep it as brief and concise as possible to move on to the next thing. That's how I'm built.
Briefly add to what Shaggy, as a kid when I was younger and before I matured, of course I'll take it personal because I was a kid.
Right.
To me, if you don't give me the energy back, like what's going on? But as I matured, I realized people are different. Like you can't expect everyone to give you 100% all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that it's okay. It's more about doing these things. Like with Shag specifically, it's not doing these things so I get a hug or energy back. It's purely to show that hey, I have this energy for you. It exists. That's how I show it. And yeah, once the other
and I'll send it back in another way. Like he will send something emotional, and I will send it back in a text like 3 days later.
It's completely love languages, is what y'all are talking about. Like I'm like, do y'all know that?
Yeah. But yeah, Kian, Cliff, you guys go. We've been hogging the mic for too long.
Apology.
What do y'all think?
Nah, you're good. No, it's interesting. Kendall, just to tap into what you said about what do you need to tap into, I think energy. We've been talking about it for the past couple of minutes. I agree with, I'm more like Shaggy in a sense where I'm not gonna say a lot of words. Sometimes people have like met you at the first time, and then later on in life, and you see them again in a different situation, they're like, oh, when I first met you, you were intimidating, or I feel like you didn't appreciate me because of the energy you were giving off. And I was like, I was trying to take things in sometimes, because when you get into a new atmosphere, you know, you kind of have to see how things go. You can't really just assume everyone around you is going to be on the same page.
Right.
It takes time. The situation might change. You might meet a friend through a friend, and then you meet that person in a different scenario, and it's a different, you know, it's just how it goes. So energy, just making sure, you know, if you have conversations with people, they understand where you're coming from. And I think once you guys get that commonality, or, you know, that mutual understanding, that I think the foundation is already there.
Right.
Again, like we call it associates, you know, it's like family, friends, and associates. Like associates, you know, you meet someone outside, like, hey, you have a drink, whatever. You probably never see that person again. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, I know you guys had this experience where you've met someone through some people, you know, at a big public gathering, it's like 20 people. You can't mix and mingle with everyone personally. Then you see that person again sometime with a smaller group of people. And, you know, it's different because you didn't really get a formal introduction. You don't know, you know, where you stand with that person.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's nothing personal. It's just the last time I met you, it was just like this big kind of gathering. So I'm not, so definitely energy, just maintaining, monitoring, and looking at the energy that you give and get at the same time.
I agree. Reciprocation for sure. What about you, Cliff? You have any thoughts?
So for me, I'm kind of like, I guess, where Shaggy and Shari, whereas I kind of like fall in that middle section. Because before coming to China, I was kind of more like Shaggy, I guess you could say, whereas I was more of the quieter person in the room, or like people knew who I was and they knew me, and I would talk, if you talk to me type of thing, like if you reach out to me, then I'll reach out to you. If you like, it seems like, you want to be my friend, and, you be my friend. I never really had like, any BFFs or no, real, homies type growing up, So, but when I came to China, I felt like, this place is like, me coming from a small island and, a smaller country, like, and, the situations are different. People are different. The energy is kind of different from what I was used to. I felt like, I can't really be this quiet, reserved person. Like, I need to like, open up more and like get to know people better. And like, I need to kind of grow now, I left home. I want to leave all that behind and like, try to like, grow as a person, as a man, and like, be able to like communicate better with people and, understand people's culture and their differences and stuff like that. That's how I kind of like became, like, and I guess the person I am now, whereas, I still can walk into a room with a lot of people, and sometimes I might just stand in the corner and relax and chill, or I could, at the next minute, I'm there like talking to people like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Where you from?
Right.
And,
Gotta get warm.
I gotta ease into it kind of,
Yeah.
But in the terms of whereas, like, I agree with Shari, like, sometimes you can build these friendships with people, and then, at any point in time, like, people can like just drop you or like leave you, or, maybe they dislike something that you did, and then, they just stop talking to you or stop, being around you, or, communicating the way you do. And, sometimes people ghost you in life. And if the communication isn't there, then there's nothing, that you can really like do, I guess, in terms of the situation. I guess maybe you can reach out to them and try to see, like, hey, what happened? What's going on? But if they don't successfully communicate with you, or, you try to keep up with the person and find out, then it's going to be kind of, okay, well, it was nice meeting you and nice, being your friend in time. But if, you want to go, you can go. Sometimes you outgrow people. And sometimes
some people are for seasons, man. Some people are just for seasons.
I mean, we all heard it, reason, season, lifetime. Like, I don't know one Black person that hasn't heard that.
Right.
I just heard it now.
Maybe that's an American Black person thing.
Same. I just heard that.
I just heard that now.
But what you're saying,
I do an annual call. So every December 31st, I go through Instagram, WeChat, Facebook, wherever else I have people, and I do a call, and I do at least 5 to 10 every year. So people from way back before China, I go through Facebook, and I'm like, we don't talk, unfollow. I'm out.
I hear you.
No, because it's just something that I've been doing for like 10 years now, or 5 years now.
So obviously it works.
On WeChat especially, I do it a lot on WeChat because there's a lot of people that just add you and you never talk, ever. And I'm like, why are you seeing, why in my circle? Just call, get out.
Right. There's like this thing that I keep hearing. There's a difference between being in a relationship, meaning that could be friendship, romantic, partner, whatever, family. So there's a difference between being in a relationship and having access. And I noticed there's a lot of transactional relationships, situations in
situationships.
That too.
Entanglements.
Listen, okay, that's a worldwide notion. But when you realize that somebody craves access to you, not necessarily connection with you, how do you handle that?
Well, I'm a professional at that. You got to talk to the other guys. I can tell. I mean, I've developed that over the years of being here, because most of my professional, I mean, I came in when I was 19, and most of my professional life is here. So I have Chinese friends, I have friends from all over Asia, I have acquaintances, right? I have friends and acquaintances and people I consider family as well. And they all have like a limit to where I go with them. And it's just a natural progression. But when I meet someone, I can tell, or at least I can tell if that person wants to really connect with me, or if they just want me for a project or to use me for another connection or something. And sometimes my radar goes off and I fall victim to it. But most of the time I can tell, but that's just years of development of being what Shari used to call a major asshole. That's years of development, and now I'm pretty tight-knit on that. And because I take so long to really connect with people anyway, so if the person was only there for superficial reasons, they will usually just taper off because they realize it's taking way too long.
Like, I ain't get what I want from this dude.
Yeah, let me just bail, cut my losses and bail.
Yeah. Is that something to take personally, do y'all think?
Nah, I don't think so.
Not really. As I said, people fall off, things happen.
Yeah.
Like you said, when people are trying to get access, I'll say something. I don't know if people take it differently. Whenever you're here and you meet someone for the first time, instead of asking your name or asking about you, they ask you where you're from. And that never really settled right with me. I mean, I don't know, people just trying to have small talk, small talk is really awkward sometimes, or most times. And they ask you where you're from. It just, and I just never understood why the first thing you're going to ask someone when you meet them, it's not their name, it's where they're from. That just, I don't really like that.
I wonder, do you think it's more of like, let me see if I have a commonality, or let me see how I want to categorize you and, stereotype you or whatever?
Yeah. We live in a superficial world. We live in a superficial world with Instagram and TikTok and Douyin, so everything is visual. And they see someone like Ken and they're like, oh, I don't need where you from? Where you come from? Like, it's like a response that's more visual, and then that gives them reference for where to go next with the conversation. And it can go both ways. It could be positive, it could be negative, and we don't know until later. I've had that question posed to me, and because I'm an asshole, like, I'll tell them, and then I have no investment. Like, there's no investment from my part.
I hear you. What do you think? Finish your statement, Ken.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, and after you have like that question asked to you, and I don't know, afterward, the walls or a defensive system just kicks in, and you're just like, okay, maybe I just need, and then you zoom into what they're trying to say. And
you overanalyze.
Oh man, and just based on what people say or their actions, you can kind of tell. If you're in a public space and they're just moving from person to person to person to person, and I'm like, okay, this person, spreading energy or giving energy out, but not necessarily trying to make that connection that goes deeper. Right. And then you can just meet that person at that level. No disrespect or anything, just meet the person wherever they meet you. Or if they actually is like, oh, can we have a conversation or whatever, then you're like, okay, this person, I may have judged you wrong or may have put up the defense system a bit too early. But that's just growth, you can't really tell 100% of the time what people are how they're gonna affect your life.
That's true.
I think you kind of have to just go through it sometimes. Sometimes you can tell off the bat, nope. Or like, I
can tell immediately.
Some people are billboards. Yeah, some people are billboards.
They advertise the shit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But it's a lot of insecure people out here, right? And
it's also the older you, the more growth you make in life, whether it be psychologically, professionally, whatnot, it makes, from what you just said, Kid, it makes connections so much harder because we are all coming with so much baggage.
Child, you lead right to my next question.
why are you asking me about where I'm from? And that's already a wall. Remember when we were in like elementary school and like we friends with everyone and like because oh your sandwich was nice, I'm your friend. Like it was so simple.
Right.
Now we're like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy
But
looks
let
like
me-
a creep. Let me go check him on Insta. Let's see. Like it's so much detail and so much analysis. Like CIA
Exactly.
operatives over here.
Exactly.
Ugh,
Hello, Simba.
so much
Well, you
work
know,
sometimes.
tapping into that, it's kind of like you share how, like, when we were younger, it's oh, let me have your food. We like same food, we friends. But we all
Yeah.
come from the same places, right? We all look the same. You know, we have very similar experiences. And I wonder sometimes is that easier? And so being here,
Yeah.
are there more barriers? Did you feel like you have to explain yourself more? I wonder, has everybody had the Black person experience coming to China, where you're recorded, you know, you stared at, you know,
100%.
whispered,
Yeah.
You can't be a Black
raise your
person in Canada.
Vaseline if that has been your experience at some point while living here. And it's like,
Yeah. I don't notice it anymore. Like I don't even notice it anymore. And when I do notice it,
though.
it's like a moment. Like I'm like, oh, that still happens because I forget about it for so long. Like, yeah. And even going further, I've traveled quite a lot for Asia, and it's at different levels at different places. And even within China, you go to different cities, it's at different levels.
Yeah.
Beijing, it happens a little bit less. Shanghai happens way less, unless you go to the outskirts. Other smaller cities, it happens a lot more. And then there's some cities that are smaller that it doesn't happen at all. Like I went to my last vacation. We went to Yangshuo and nobody cared. And it was so weird. Nobody cared, like the locals, nobody cared. Nobody like, oh my God, wow, where you from? Or nobody cared. Like, what is like, I don't understand. And then I go to in Yangshuo, there's a reggae bar. And we found out about it through a friend of a friend. And it's been open since 1998. Right. And I think that's a big reason why. It's so one bar. Yeah, this one bar that's been there since 1998 has given so much education on Black reggae, hip hop culture that most of the city doesn't be fazed by it anymore. They got pictures of Mali, the Whalers on the whole bar. Like it's on one of the busiest streets in Yangshuo. So I was talking to the manager and I'm like, do you know that you've affected this whole town? He's like, nah, man, me Irish, man. We don't want to be. And he has a strong Jamaican accent. Chinese man with full locks. I'm like,
wow. I'm thinking that you were going to say he was of the diaspora.
No, he's a Chinese guy from Yangshuo. Went on he got exposed to reggae when he was really young for his dad. His dad was a musician, and then in university he went to Jamaica, and he spent a whole summer there. And since then, he's just Rasta.
Okay. And so did you feel like a level of appreciation or appropriation?
No, appreciation, definitely appreciation. Okay. I was my rate I was on, but definitely maybe at the beginning when he started, it was probably appropriation. But I think over the years that he's educated himself and spread the knowledge for other people, like he has artists under his label, it's definitely appreciation.
Okay.
I could have stated this guy. I wish this guy was my roommate or something. Like this guy was so cool. Cool. And so it's different levels for this whole. Okay. My wife is Indonesian. I go to Indonesia and it happens sometimes. It happens other times. Like, so it's a level of curiosity and people just don't know how to deal with that curiosity. Like, oh my God, what are you? Yeah. When I had like dreads, it was way more blatant when I went to Indonesia than when I cut my hair. So it was, clean cut.
Same.
Who had dreads before? Raise your hand.
That's that Vaseline.
I ain't never had dreads, so I can't raise my Vaseline on that.
Yeah, Vaseline. Yeah.
Well,
different vibe when you cut it off.
So, okay, did you notice that? How did you notice treatment when you came looking all exotic, like people like to call us, right? And then, you make the shift to, cut your hair, did you notice the shift in how people related to you?
It varies. People, like Shari said, man, people are complicated, man.
Hell yeah, they are. Us
People are
included.
complicated. It varies, man. Like I've gotten the stares and oh my God, exotic. Wow, look at his hair. Can I touch it? Can I touch it? And then people are like, that's
No.
cool. Done. And they move on. Like
Yeah.
Right.
People don't, there's a couple of funny stories. People didn't recognize you. So you would just go to like your regular shops or whatever. You say, hey, and they would just look at you like, who are you? You know, can't really tell.
Now we don't do that.
It's funny.
We don't do that here.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. And I got locks here. I didn't have it before I came. So I was always low cut. And then coming here, having locks and then removing it. It's just a different vibe. You know, when you're taking the subway, it was just
some discussion about with men.
Okay, go ahead.
read your video, Simba. What a name.
Keep going, kid.
Yeah, it's just if you're in the subway, it's definitely changed because if you're in the subway, you would lock and you walk in and you could feel it. The stairs or the phones just like you just used to like creep up on the side or something, just like click.
Oh my
But-
God.
Yeah, I mean, this was back then. I don't know how it is now. I hope it's not the same now, but it would definitely happen a lot. And then after you cut off, it wasn't all that not much.
That's good. Let me ask y'all something. I want to segue into, I can't remember what we were discussing earlier. I think it was a comment that Cliff made. But as men, when it comes to experiencing trauma, acknowledging traumas from childhood, and then choosing to move, and you really have to reckon with yourself if you want to mature through life. Can you share with us what has that process been like for each of you? And we want to limit it to a minute and a half. Can you share? Whoever wants to start first.
I'll open the floor here. So dealing with trauma, I feel like the beginning stage of dealing with trauma, whether it's trauma dealt to you or just trauma just happens in your life, is one of two ways: either being empathetic or being just open to realizing that, again, things happen and let it go. So like if someone did something to you, before the first way is more of a victim mentality. Why did you do this to me? Why did this happen? What did I do to you for you to do this to me? Whereas it's more, I know that it's just, and like, instead of thinking, why am I the victim? More like, why are you the perpetrator? Like, what caused you to do this action? Again, if it's something done to me, and what is the cause? And then leads to my second point of just letting it go, because I've realized that if someone does do you wrong, or if something wrong happens, having it constantly on your mind, eating at you, it doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't it doesn't activate karma in some miracle way to get back at the other person. It's just, it eats away at you. And the only way to benefit yourself is to reconcile with it, accept it, and move on. Because life moves on, people move on, the world does not stop revolving with me being traumatic. And of course, you have to take the time to process it. Of course, it's not just snap your fingers and whoop-de-doo, I'm merry and jolly again. But it's more of understanding why something occurred, if you need that closure to get past it, and then from getting past it, and then using something else to occupy your time. So your time is not always thinking about it back and forth.
Right.
Always
I really like that.
cycling, etc.
And can I add to that? One of the key, everything that you said, fire, right? And especially since everybody's experience is going to be different. One of the most important things that you said was acceptance. And I want, for anybody that's, listening to this, trauma can be anything that has disrupted your life, right? A divorce, a car accident, physical trauma. It can, natural disasters. We're still living in COVID. So we all have that in common. But one of the most important things is to understand the level that what acceptance means. Accepting that, okay, this thing has occurred, whether I brought it upon myself or not, or whether it was done to me, like Sherry was saying, but acceptance does not mean agreeance, right? It does not mean that you agree with the things that have occurred. It's realizing that I no longer want to drink poison thinking that somebody else is gonna die. How do I, reconcile how I feel about it, feel all the feelings, none of them are problematic, and then how do I begin the healing process, right? All of that has to happen in order to heal through situations. So again, I just want to, reiterate, you don't necessarily have to share what the trauma was that you experienced, but it's specifically choosing to move abroad and be one with yourself, see yourself differently, sit with yourself and grow. What does that process look like for you, having to come to terms with some things that you've been able to kind of shy away from before?
I would say, from my perspective, from that specific statement that you just made, or question rather, my specific piece of trauma that I can immediately pinpoint is very timely, because I grew up under a father that was very, like I said, traditional, conservative, and very straightforward, not very affectionate, not very physical emotion wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Even verbal emotion wasn't a thing. And it's timely because I'm trying to not replicate that with my daughter. And I can think about it as much as I want, but it's actually in practice that I will see how it turns out. That is one thing that I can, like, it's very timely because, she's coming in 5 weeks. How do I not, because I'm a loner, kind of like him, loner and quiet, kind of like him. So I have his traits, I have his DNA. How do I not impose that lack of affection, that lack of sentiment onto her? That's something that I'm battling internally, and there's no way to fix it until it happens. You can't do the trial basis or anything. I don't know. So that's the one I can really think of.
So I want to thank you for sharing, thank both of y'all so far for sharing. And I want to challenge you, is it really something to fix or to notice? And
I notice it. Hopefully I will, I already told the wife that, that's your job to police me.
You are not going to hold her accountable for your grown man behavior.
I might not be doing it, and I want someone to like point it out so that I can like know it's happening and not just do automatically.
Okay, so how do you notice it though? How do you pay attention to your internal self so that you can be a bit more aware of the things that trigger these responses in you? Because we all have it. That's some deep internal work, and the fact that you are stating it now, you are going to be a lot more aware of it. So now it's like, so when I'm in these situations and I know that I recoil, what's the opposite thing that I can do so that I don't replicate the behavior? And being easy with yourself, because shit happens. But we can learn from stuff too.
She's in the belly right now, and I talk to her a lot more. I communicate with her for the belly, and I feel like trying to make that connection so that when she's here, that I can continue the connection physically.
Yes.
And hopefully that carries over.
Not hopefully, you can make it. Be intentional. You're being intentional right now. You continue. Everything matters. So be easy with yourself. Soon to be positive.
That's a hard thing for me too. Being easy with myself.
Oh, that's one of the questions, folks. So get ready. Get ready.
It's in the DNA though. It's in our DNA. It's like we are cursed with this since the slave ship. It's been in our DNA, like being hard on ourselves and not letting things out and not having these conversations and just bottling it up until like the songs and the way say we slap a bitch. Like trying to not, overcome those issues.
Yeah. Kian or Cliff? Go ahead, Sherry.
I just want to throw something in real quick, not to take up too much time. Jack said like he's more of a loner, quiet. And just to throw back earlier to saying that things happen or like you have trauma from people, especially I know in this modern day, a lot of young men has trauma from their dads, whether their dad didn't exist or their dad was not emotional. It's like we didn't have an emotional dad, and that traumatized both of us. But it wasn't And I grew up for a long time disliking, hating my dad until I think I was like 16, 17 years old. And I sat with my mom and I really asked her, like, why is that this way? Because again, our mom is super peppy and emotional and social, and our dad is very quiet and reserved. And it wasn't until like he never talked about his history, and it wasn't until I learned about his history and his upbringing and I realized why he is the way he is. That's
Mm.
I'm gonna come back to what I said earlier about empathy. Like I realized, oh snap, this was your life, like from birth to
Yes.
30 plus. And when you go that long going through that of course you have to build your that's his resilience, which forms his personality. And then me having that empathy, I realized, okay, this is why you are the way you are. And I had to accept and love you the way you are because you still existed. You still paid for my bills and my school fee. When I wanted to go like Dweeville with some friends, you still give me money. So it's like it wasn't like you were a bad dad. I just wanted to know some TV shit, that special dad to play base cricket with you or some shit. But then,
Ellen Cosby.
yeah.
So,
Learning and understanding him was a good stepping stone to get over that trauma.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I am really emotional just anyway. So I'm probably going to cry at some point today. You have hit one of the nails on the head. It is, we don't necessarily know the lives that our parents lived and the things that they had to do to survive.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about thriving.
Yeah, it was about survival.
Back then, it was like, I gotta wake up, I gotta try to find a way to eat, take care of my family, depending on what the situation was that you're born into, right? Because we can't choose those circumstances. But then it's understand the empathy to understand that, one, to ask, to know that you have the agency to ask. And because a lot of people don't take interest in what is it that you experience to have you develop into the person that you are now that makes some things easy and some difficult. So I'm really happy that you were brave enough to do that and that they shared, and that you have enough presence of mind to know that it's not about me, but the behaviors that he's had to assume to survive, to provide, don't necessarily, they make him who he is, but they don't really work for me right now. And I'm asking for more. I need something different. And that is okay to realize that I know you love me. Maybe acts of service is your love language, but I need something a little bit different just to feel like a whole person, to feel valued and cared for. And so I'm getting teary-eyed. Anyone else? Thank y'all so much so far. Any of the three other gentlemen? Simba, can you introduce yourself, please? And you need to cut your camera on. Go ahead, Cliff.
He's on mute. Yeah.
For me, I feel like it's important to understand and first of all recognize your traumas.
Yes.
Recognize your traumas first, and then you have to pretty much, gather a better understanding of them. Like you said, like why, or have like some sort of idea of maybe, well, why did this happen, or why is it, am I being placed in this situation? For me, it was, relationships, always relationships, pretty much, like, being a hard thing on me. Like I said, coming from, an island, pretty much. It was just from me getting my first girlfriend and growing up, like it's always been, relationships have been hard for me. And, it was pretty much where I felt like I was giving too much to people, just, when I'm talking about relationships, I'm talking about, girlfriends in particular, me giving too much, or me trying to figure out like, why the relationship is not working. Like, is it me? And am I the problem? And why they're not lasting the way they want to? And like, from me being back home, and then coming to here, the dating pool here is completely different as, than it is in our own countries,
Yes.
We have, like, I guess you could say, I mean, it's different in the terms of there are you're exposed to more cultures and different people, you know, but it's not as easy as you would expect, because like you say, not everyone is pretty much on the same page as you, and in your back home may not have been as fast as it is back here. Like for a lot of people, very fast, so for me, like I had like a lot of issues with like, trusting people and being afraid to like, get into something serious with people, because, you've been burned, and it's kind of like even taking people back. It's like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me,
Yeah.
And coming here, it's like, it's kind of like, it was kind of, starting off where it was sort of the same situation. Because, you meet someone and then you think they're serious and then they turn out to be as serious as you want them to be. But it's all about, like I said, like understanding you and understanding that what you want for yourself, and understanding how you can grow from that from that situation, and how you can like build yourself up until you understand fully what you want and what you need, and what type of person that you need in your life to help support you and whatever you want, like, so it's pretty much a better understanding, and you knowing the people that you decide to let into your life and decide that, you want to be serious with. And that kind of like my downfall, whereas I read signs wrong, and, I didn't fully understand the people that I was getting into something serious with. Whereas now, as a grown man, older, more experienced, I have a better understanding and a better appreciation for, the whole situation, so.
You said it.
Well said, well said,
Like
well
one of
said.
the key things is, thank you for sharing that. One of the questions that I'm going to ask you all, well, I'm asking you now, and I want you to answer later. I want you to think about it, is what is your best hope for the time that you have while you choose to continue to live abroad? What is your best hope in that regard? And that ties into, Cliff, what you just said is, one, knowing what you want. Two, knowing that you deserve what it is that you want. Because when we go through so many things, we tend to wonder, like, why does this keep happening to me? Is something wrong with me? No, it is having a deep understanding of, one, how did you acquire these behaviors, and what is it about the patterns that we engage ourselves in that we can be more understanding of, change, or really identify? I ultimately want this thing, so I'm not wandering aimlessly in these pointless situations. I'm going to be a bit more intentional and care for myself through these growth processes until I'm in a place to be more accepting of the good things that come my way, and not picking, and this is friendships, relationships, whatever, picking whatever comes because I'm trying to fill a need. Having healthy connections is one of the most important things for any expat, but especially a Black person living in China. Thank you for sharing that. Ken or Simba, do y'all want to comment before we go to like the next question? So I'm gonna say this, I intended for this to end at 1:30. It's probably gonna go a little bit longer, maybe 1:45 or 2. If you have to exit, that's fine. The conversation is getting really good though, so I'm grateful.
You got me until 1:45, and then I gotta
okay, that's fine.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about the
best
question
hope
you asked
question.
about. The best hope. I think I've met people for a short period of time and people that I've known for a long time. And I think when they come back and tell me, oh, what you said, I really listened to you that time. Or when you said this, et cetera, sometimes we can say things, first of all, not realizing exactly what we're saying, or maybe that's something someone wanted to hear, or the opposite, you just said something and you got to walk it back and say, yeah, I didn't really mean to say that, or that's not where I was coming from. But the hope is like you affect people in a positive way, or, whenever you're around, people want to be around you, or people want to hear what you have to say, not just, and you know how we live in a place where not everyone or barely anyone's going to look like you. So when you have to get in front of people and pitch an idea or speak or do something, like they really receive it and they accept it and accept you and what you're trying to say, not judge you obviously based on what you look like. So I think the hope for me is wherever I go, wherever I end up, everything that we're going through or I'm going through now, it's going to take me to that place, and then I affect people in a positive way whilst I get there, wherever it is I'm going. So that's just it. Yeah.
And what I know of you, I know that's going to happen, which makes me think about a question that I have. Does everyone understand what the term imposter syndrome means?
Yeah.
I think every black man in China is a professional.
Dude, black people, don't listen, don't be high performing. Ooh, let me not get into that, but yes, we're gonna get into that. Because what I thought of is, yes, you are right. We have to, there's this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Is that Carnegie?
Yeah, Carnegie.
I think, and when we think about like the mainstream, it's very different for other cultures, right? Because we have an additional layer of, unfortunately, depending on who we're dealing with, an additional layer of, I don't even know how to term it.
You got to explain it. Yeah. Right.
Because somebody, I think Kian, you stated earlier, meeting people and then they say that you're intimidating. I hate that shit. I am like, let's reframe that. You are intimidated. I am not intimidating when I show up in all my glory and knowledge, and power and confidence. And I wonder sometimes, do we feel like when, linking it to the whole imposter syndrome and, being able to win friends and influence people, how do you deal with being in these spaces that are going to help further the lives that you want to live and not feeling like you fully belong there? Like I am, moment of self-disclosure, currently experiencing some difficult shit. And I'll leave it at that. Okay. Do y'all have anything to say for the people when it comes to being obviously ambitious, educated Black men with goals that are kind to people, and really trying to find your way in these spaces that aren't necessarily kind to, welcoming, or made for you? And how do you manage your emotions around that? I think that's one of the key things I want to know.
That's a tough one.
It's a really tough one because, from my perspective, at least, you got to answer it two ways. You got to try to remove the Black man bearing everything part, and then you got to actually think about it. Because I feel like naturally we just like move through it.
Without, and not experience it.
Yeah, we just move through it and go. Like no time to worry about emotional intelligence and how are you feeling and all that. Get it. Just get it, So trying to like close that door and then feel it and then answer the question, that it's super difficult to do right now. But from my perspective, living here for so long, or being in Asia for so long, I'm very comfortable in Beijing. I'm very comfortable in Shanghai. I'm very comfortable in Hong Kong because these are places I've spent a lot of time in, and I have friends there that know me. So whether I feel uncomfortable, I can always go to them. But when I started to go to Indonesia, the first few trips, and I mean, I've made numerous trips there. The first few trips were tough. Super, super tough. One, the population of our beautiful melanated skin is -10. It's very minimal, very, very minimal. And although there are tribes that are Indonesian from other islands that are very dark skinned, they are still Indonesian. So they're not Black, they're just dark skinned Indonesians. So I would see these people and I'd be like, hey, and they'll be like, no. And I'm like, oh shit. So that took me a while, but in the last maybe a few trips that I went there, I found some brothers. I met one guy from Bahamas that has been living there for 10 years. I met another guy he's Nigerian, but grew up in Philly. I met about 10 guys and 2 women that are of the complexion. And that was when I actually opened the door, because before I would just like go through. But when I met them and I realized, oh my God, I could live here. Like, there's a tribe. Holy shit. And that was when that happened. It really happened in 2019. And it happened at the worst time because it happened in 2019. And then my wife and I were like, okay, so now we can move here. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. 2020, we're here. Came back to China, COVID.
Right. Screwed everybody.
It's like the universe felt my joy and be like, nah, son, not yet.
Pause.
Yeah. I was so excited. Like, I have never been this excited to meet people ever.
Oh, wow.
Like, like I just said about me, I'm loner, I'm quiet, but I was so psyched because I love Indonesia. The food there, the people there are cool, but just to have that community, to feel like, when I want to just hang out with a brother and have a beer, I can. Because before that wasn't an option. And when I found the option, I was like, oh my God, the last box has been checked. Let's go. 2020 summer, we're there. Come back, COVID.
COVID has made people reevaluate a lot of things. Gentlemen, what about you all when it comes to dealing with imposter syndrome and managing your emotions? Thank you, Shaggy.
Yeah, I'll touch on something really. Like, coming over here, we all, like most of the gentlemen on the panel, we came here for educational purposes. Like, I too did my bachelor's and master's in engineering, and then switched to education. So even that in itself, sometimes when you're trying to stand in front of a classroom or something, sometimes, for my background, 2 degrees in engineering, it's like it's switched. You kind of have to go through like that period of, okay, I'm qualified. I know my stuff. You still have a little bit of self-doubt, and that's just in a professional kind of sense. And then sometimes, we talked about community earlier. I think having a community of people that understand, like, first of all, where you're from, very similar backgrounds, important. People that look like you, also very similar, important. Could be in your profession, could be outside of your industry. Sometimes outside of your industry is fine, because then they will give it to you real, like, oh, when I do this in my industry, this doesn't happen or whatever. And then you can bounce some ideas off of them. Or, obviously keeping in touch with friends from different backgrounds or in different countries, asking them how things go there. Like, it's important to have a sounding board. And I think that is what helps me get through it. It's tough sometimes. And then friends, they always, they say things about you that you didn't even realize about yourself. You're like, you're qualified, degrees and everything, you speak fluent Chinese, whatever the situation is, and they're giving you all this positive thing, and you have to like ground yourself and say, okay, yeah, I'm not bad, or I'm not complete shit. Build up your confidence a little bit more, and then you get out there and just hit it, because we can always try to go 110%, because I know most people sometimes, the way we are in the situation we're in, you kind of have to give 110, just because, which is annoying. I know, but it is what it is. You give 110,
right?
And then it's draining, and a lot of people want to feed off of your energy sometimes. You're like, man, I need to get some of that back. I can't just be giving it all the time. So yeah, it's having a sounding board and having people that ground you around you in close contact with, because COVID, people are all around the world. Getting a lifeline, or just having a line to some of the people that ground you is very important, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken.
No worries.
We got 3 more people. Come on, y'all.
In the context of imposter syndrome, in like everyday life, I don't really ever feel it. It's more of when there's a big movement that's about to occur, whether it's career-wise, education-wise, or like you've met a group of people who, on the face value, probably they seem more successful than you. Beforehand, it would be intimidating. Like it would be that it makes me go back in my head and think, am I good enough? Should I be around these people? Can I actually converse with them on different topics? And then I think I had a convo with my mom about this. So we didn't use the term imposter syndrome, but that I don't feel competent enough to like be where I am. And then she basically just told me to shut up. Just basically to shut up and say,
Right.
what nonsense are you speaking?
Yeah.
And she just reiterated that you've done these things. She never said that you are brilliant or give me a plus. She just said, these are the things you have accomplished in your month and you're understand it.
Come through, mom. Yes.
And then she says, look at people also from your same background. Have they accomplished this? Did they pay for their education by themselves? Did they work their ass off? Did they take care of their sick parents or whatever the accomplishment may have been? Did they do this? No. Sure, they may be people that's much more successful. There could be people that do more than you, there people that do less than you, and that's fine. That's life. Nobody's like you are comparing yourself to people, but you do not know their path, whether it was easy or hard or whatever for them. She basically told me, you are you, and you that's all you are, and that's all you ever be. It can make you better, but you'll still be you. So after hearing that conversation with her, like the idea of that insecurity lessened. And then with my current partner, there are moments that it still creeps up, and then she does the same, less aggressive, but she does the same thing of just telling me, what's the point of this? Because it does not help. And then I've never told her what my mom did, but she does the same thing herself of reiterating, these are the things you've done. And she says that whenever you've had these moments where you feel like you're not enough or you don't belong at the table, and then you get at the table and you put in just your natural effort, which at the time I think is just normal, not like to the extreme, people say that you're doing good or so great. Then you're always surprised. And she reminded me of that. And so like when those moments do come, they are much less than before. Having a partner or having a mom or having a friend that gives you that extra push, and especially when they don't just use compliments, like generic compliments, they just tell you the truth and how it is. That things you forget to tell yourself, or that you think are normal because you just did it. So for me, I would say that's the factor, like having people in your corner like that who just do it without question.
Right. So that community, that loving connection. Exactly. You've said so many things that I want to touch on. I want to give either Cliff or Simba, if y'all want to comment on the imposter syndrome thing, but I want to go directly into this, how to identify that. And then I want us to move into healing, right? There's so much that we can cover in this conversation, but in the interest of honoring time, we'll probably have to do a part 2. But I want to give you all, gentlemen, the opportunity to share your perspective. And thank you, Sherry.
So I feel like as like I said, remember, I've done my bachelor's and my master's here, and I've had some experience like years back, like teaching at home, but not on this scale. So now as an educator here, I've like had a situation or two where I've been placed, I'm new, to the game, or I was new to the game, and it was me kind of comparing myself to people who are more experienced than me, people who have been teaching for 10, 8 years, and me who's only been teaching for a few years, and me comparing myself to them. It was kind of a thing that I had to get over. And it's still a thing that I'm getting over, but it kind of like, you have to sit back and think about it and remind yourself, like, some of you guys said, you can't compare yourself to people because, like you said, there's people have more experience, they've been in it longer than you. And the only thing you can do, is either to, learn to ask for help if you need help. Take advice.
That's a tough
I
one.
know.
Oh.
It is. It is,
Cliff,
especially for men. Especially
let me
as
get you to
men.
pause for a second. Let me get you to pause for. Raise your Vaseline if you are good at asking for help.
A guy with the smallest Vaseline tub.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, my bigger one, it's on the counter. I'll get my bigger one for you. Hold on.
It's okay. It's okay.
Keep going, Cliff. I just had to do it.
Nah, yeah, man, asking for help is a big deal, man.
Yeah, it is. Learning that, like, you know, to understand when you need help and when to ask for help. And like you said, like, it's not easy to ask people for help. It's also whereas you have to make sure that, you know, you're doing focus on what you're doing and what you need to do. And, you know, it'll all eventually come together, you know, and that's a part of growth. Like I always talk about growth, and I feel like it's very important. Like, you know, these different things, they're like pieces of a puzzle, or like they put together like one by one, you know, or like, you know, like a lift, they help you keep building on it, and then it's eventually gonna bring you up. So you have to not feel like you're pretending, not feel like you're, like, you know, impersonating or, you know, being something that you're not. You are that person. And it's like kind of like understanding that, you know, like you know, it takes time and it takes work and it takes effort. And like I said, it takes asking for help if you need help, and knowing when to ask for help.
Yeah. And that is okay. And that you are not incompetent for doing so. Thank you for sharing that. I want to, Simba, did you want to share? Well, okay, I guess while he's, okay. I want everyone to think, I don't want you to respond, I just want you to think when it comes to the things that you shared about imposter syndrome and questioning your capabilities, your professionalism, are you worthy? I just want you to think about all the things that you've had to do to get to today. So not even all the things, from the time that you left home till today, what are some of the, and you don't have to share, right? It's rhetorical. I want you to just sit and think. From the time that you left home to today, what are some of the major milestones that you have worked to accomplish because nobody gave them to you? Scholarships are earned, right? You still have to work to get noticed, to get the scholarship. You know, being pushed out of your comfort zone is still earned because your parents see something that you have in order to push you in that direction. Getting these degrees you earned, right? Showing up, participating, pushing through the difficulty. Hell, doing it in China. That's earned. So if ever, because I'm sure it'll happen again because it's human nature, you find yourself, and I'm not just talking to you gentlemen, I'm talking to whoever's watching this, you find yourself questioning, are you worthy to be where you are right now? I want you to just sit and pause and identify, okay, so what has triggered these feelings in me? What's happening in my reality right now? What am I afraid of that is causing all this to come up for me? And do that from a stance of self-compassion. Be easy with yourself, right? Reduce the judgment, the negative self-talk, and explore it. Write it down, you know, say it out loud in a recorder. And I want you to identify, like, where am I feeling this in my body? Because this is trying to teach me something, right? These feelings, these thoughts that I'm experiencing. And I want you to then, again, identify the evidence that contradicts the false thoughts that you're telling yourself. Is what I'm saying true? No, and this is the evidence to prove why. I belong here, and this is why. I've earned this, and this is why. So the more that we can accept how we feel without judgment, and we can identify evidence to support why we are worthy of where we are, the easier it'll be to work through the imposter syndrome, right? And I think that learning to show up as our authentic selves, and sometimes we can do that 100 proof if we're in the right audience. And sometimes that has to be 50 proof, but that doesn't mean that you're not being authentic to you. we have to know the audience that we are engaging with, right? I've got to know the people. But knowing that, I wonder, do each of you have mentors to kind of help you through some of the situations that you're experiencing, that you've connected with? That's a two-way relationship where not only are you learning from them, you're able to give. What do you think? Or is that something you're interested in?
Since I have to live in a couple of minutes, I just want to say something before I bounce.
Go for it.
On that note, I like just talking about self-reflection. I do self-reflect and like, you know, be internal about stuff, but I've never gone that far as to, you know, why am I here and all that stuff. But I have to give credit to my mom, because every time I would, you know, call home when I was a student here and like complain or, you know, be really down, and she would always lift me up and say, I know you can do this. And I have no idea why she thought I could. Because there was no mentor at the time that did it, that I could like, oh yeah, he did it, I could do it too. Or
yeah,
she just thought that I was that person that could handle being in an international setting and thrive. And years would pass and I would go through conflict. And even with other students from Dominica or the Caribbean, that would be, you know, we grew up in a small island nation, and that also comes with a lot of people having small island mentality, where they feel like their position is in the small island, and you graduate, you get a job at the bank, and you have a few kids and you die. And I was never of that notion. I was always of that person to do different things. Like I've gone through at least 2 to 3 different career trajectories that people would consider that. I studied marketing, and I had my own events company here when I was 22. I had a sunglasses company. I had now I'm in F&B in the food business. And to a person in the Caribbean, that seems like a crazy person. Like, why are you doing all this change? Why don't you stick with one and go there? But I've never been the person to follow a generic path. And I have progressed through doing work here on my own companies and working with other national and international companies here and in other cities and in other countries in Asia. And I didn't like study this. I didn't study how to be an international businessman. You know what I mean? I just figured it out along the way. And my mom somehow knew that I could handle it. And I'm still handling it. And I really have to like pat her on the back and pat myself on the back for actually enduring this, because there were so many naysayers that would tell me like, why are you doing this, man? Just get the degree, go back home, get a job at the bank, and you're good. Buy a nice car, and you know, build a house. And I've never subscribed to that life. I don't want that. Like, that's not me. Like right now, my goal, I remember you asked the original question about how do you see yourself in the future? And in 5 years, I see myself having a little farm in Bali. Like that's me. That's where I'm going. Like, that's it. I'm not thinking about bank job or car or house, garden, farm. I'm straight. Like, and that's where I stand. But a lot of people that came from where I come from do not think that way at all. And I don't know what it is that's in my DNA or in the coconuts I drink. I don't know, but I gotta give myself some credit for enduring this craziness and going for it.
That's the key, right? And not that there's anything wrong with other people's perspectives or what they think is the level that they can attain, but I want all of y'all, if you have something to write down, I want you to write this down. It is having the audacity to know that you can.
Yeah. ...
Yeah. The audacity to know that you can, right? Accomplish whatever it is that you're seeking, make whatever dream you have come true, work through whatever trauma that you've experienced, the audacity to know that you can and that you deserve it. And knowing that you are planting seeds for people that will never say anything to you about the fact that they follow your example, that you give them that unspoken motivation to dang, he did it. Why can't I? And that's not just about business, because I know men are about providing. But what I want you to think about is, how do you first provide for yourself emotionally? Like, we talked about open doors. How do you open that door to realize some of these things that have, limited you from being audacious enough to know that you can, right? Hometown mentality. That's how it is back in Huntsville, 7th Street. I love y'all, but your people be knowing when you are beyond that, and there is nothing wrong. We get so tied up in, well, I don't want people to think I'm this and I'm that. Well, let them think.
But it happens too, like, for Shara and I perspective, going back home on vacation, like when I go back, it's and it happens a lot more with family than with strangers. Like family be looking at you like you sold out.
Oh, you bougie now.
Yeah, well,
That
you're
touched the
back
nerve.
now.
Yeah.
You forgot about us, and how dare you? And you're like, what did I do wrong?
You did not do one thing wrong. You had the audacity to know that you can. You had parents to push you to do it. And people are only speaking from their limited imaginations and lack of wanting to take risks.
Yeah.
Some people have to feel safe, right? We are all risk takers, being able to leave home, do these things, accomplish these goals. And you are honestly silent mentors for individuals, again, that will never be able to tell you that you've been able to lay a path for them to follow. I feel like I'm about to cry. I'm just like, y'all, we just don't know. Like, we just don't know. Just this conversation right here. You have no idea the people that watching it that are going to be like, I never even thought about that. You mean I can be audacious enough to walk into these places with my head held high and have a voice and leave home and take care of my mama, cry?
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but personally that is not.
All right, guys, I got a jet.
Thank you, Shaggy. Thank you so much. You were the first. Look at you.
Peace out, y'all, and keep the conversation going. I'll join part 2 whenever that is.
Yes.
Get more people on the pod. Maybe we do it offline too. Maybe we do an offline one for the next one.
We can do a panel. Find me a place. Give me a date. We can make it happen.
Some places.
Right. Okay. I'm in for it. Bye.
See you, bro.
See you, man.
So give me like 10 minutes and we can wrap it up. I want you to think about, we talked about a lot of stuff and I'm so grateful for y'all. I want to kind of shift now to what does it look like to take care of yourself as Black men that live abroad? Right. What have you found works? Like, what do you do that works when it comes to taking care of yourself?
I don't think it feels that different from it doesn't feel that different because Shags and our mom was she was very supportive, very pushy. As in,
pushy in a good way.
Both our parents, but our mom more on the emotional, mental scape, and our dad more on the physical scape. Like our mom told us, you have to learn to cook. You're never gonna have a wife telling you you can't cook and she has to cook all the meals and she controls the house. Like our mom forced us to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
Our dad forced us to learn how to like change plumbing and do electricals. Only from their perspective was that you need to know how to take care of your own home. Right? Yeah. Like our dad was a construction worker, our mom was a hotel manager, and they both thought that you need to be able to do everything yourself if push comes to shove, just in case. If you can afford a repairman, great, do it, awesome. But if you can't, fix your own life, basically. So from a very young age, it was always about, like she taught us how to manage money from like 13, 14 years old. Like my mom told me, my mom would always bake us like these big ass snacks. So like, usually back in the Caribbean, they'll give you some bread and cheese, a little sandwich. Nah, our mom would give me lasagna, like a full-on bowl of lasagna, and go school.
That's right.
And she said, so I thought, Mom, I can't eat all this. She said, yes, you can't, but you can share with classmates.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can try something. And she didn't tell me, but all I did was I told people, here's a taste, and I started selling pieces. I would make extra money. And like she didn't tell me
money out your mama.
She didn't tell me to do that, but she said you can share with people, make friends, and that was the foundational piece of give a bit of yourself to like
Yeah.
connect with people, or the entrepreneurial spirit of if you have something, people want it, sell it to them. And from that young age growing up, she always pushed for every summer, every holiday, get a little side job to help you learn independence. How to, if you want a pair of new kicks, pay for your kicks. I think that's one thing. A lot of kids these days don't know what independence is. Like she pushed us towards that. And so from the time I hit 18, graduating college back home, I got my own side gig, and she told me straight, you're paying bills. You're paying bills. You're in the home, you're paying bills. You're contributing to the electricity bill, you're paying bills. You have to pay a percentage. And as a kid, you're thinking, what? I just got my own money. What is this? Also, it teaches you that sense of responsibility, right? So now when I'm older now, people always ask me, Shari, how do you manage money? Because I was talking to a friend recently and I'm thinking of getting a new apartment. And she thought, yeah, but Shari, that area, you save and head beach like 3 months rent up front and shit like that. I said, nah, I got it saved already. But I only have that mentality purely because my mom taught me financial management, be an adult. I'm not in like, let's say, be stingy, but more like small little bits. It's just a small little bit. As you grow, it gets bigger and bigger. So the form of taking care of myself, not just financially, but also she was there for mental. Like I was asking yourself, are you okay? Are you happy? Are you satisfied with where you are? Do you do things for happiness? Because a lot of the times you may say, I want to go do this, but it's too expensive, or I have work, but you never ask, but do I need it? Do I need just a day to cycle and clear my head, or back in the day going before the dark days, go to the club and just relax, or go to the beach, or just chill, So I believe those small bits, as I grew up, that's how it doesn't feel daunting to put myself and take care of myself, basically.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Sherry.
Oh,
And
no.
other two gentlemen, Simba.
So for me, I kind of, well, first of all, I kind of love the fact like how Shaggy and Shari they share like the same kind of like growing up as I did, like with your mom being the one that pushes you, and being your mom that like supports you most of all. And like I came from the same, I guess maybe it's a Caribbean thing, but I came from the same exact background, like like your parents both knowing how to do the same things, and them both telling you that you need to know how to do these things on your own. Like you shouldn't really rely on anybody. You should rely on yourself first, and have support of others second. And me coming from like a big Christian background and a big Christian family, and a family filled with mostly women, the men in my family are like it's like 5-1 kind of my family. Like, I don't know why, but they push their men in my family, and like they support them a lot. And in my family, my mom, my aunts, they always like tell you straight up to your face, like anything is a problem or you have any sort of self-doubts, they let you know from young, like, they say you are the first and not the last.
Listen.
You are the head and not the tail. And my mom to this day, she talks to me and she tells me that if she asks me what's going on, I'm like, listen, I had this happen or that happened. She's like, listen, don't ever like look down on yourself or doubt yourself. Listen, like, you know what you went through, and you know how you got here, where you at now. And like, don't ever like put yourself down. That's first of all.
Yeah.
But in terms of money, like, I was always independent, and I was always the one, like, when I got my money, sometimes, you go to church, your grandma, she slips you some money, under your hand, and, you put that in your pocket, like, don't tell your mom, man, I used to save my money. And whenever I like need something, I just go to the store and like, I just buy it. And my mom like, yo, where get that money from? I saved it. And she's like, oh, okay, good, So I always was like a independent person. I always did things on my own. I really never relied too much on anything. And like both my parents, like they always taught me how to like, you know, do things on my own. My dad, he taught me like how to like, you know, invest my money or like put it aside as well. You know, he took me to the bank and like, yo, we opening you up a bank account. When you get your money, this is your debit card, go to the bank, put your money on there, don't touch it.
Yeah, right.
No.
Touch it.
If anybody gives you money, don't give it to your mom. She might spend it, but give it to me. I'll help you put it onto your bank account for you. And I'm like, all right, cool, man.
Yeah.
You know, and even that led up to me like working like, you know, working like part-time jobs or like summer jobs, you know, and me get my money and doing the same thing, like putting it on that account, saving, or like whenever vacation time came, you know, the family vacation where everyone goes out, you know, travels abroad together, you know, I have my own money. I can do whatever I want. I mean, I'm not paying for the hotel room, but my folks already know. They're like, yo, listen, you have your own money. You want to buy shoes, you want to go shopping, you go do your own thing. And that's what I did, you know? So it just stuck with me. And like, even me working back home before I came to China, save money. Before I came to China, like I had no idea about, you know, I didn't think about moving to China. And like I was working, I had stopped doing school, you know, I stopped doing college. You know, I couldn't afford it anymore. My mom couldn't afford putting me through college anymore. And I had to work, you know. I just work and save my money and just save. And then like the idea was brought to me by someone and they're like, yo, you want to move to China? You should move to China. Like it's really, you know, affordable to go to school there and live there, you know. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a cool idea. So I did some research and stuff, and man, I was, you know, on the next plane out. I was like, you know, I quit my job, sent my resignation letter.
Yeah.
You know, you have those people where they tell you, like you said, with those negative thoughts, like, oh man, China? Nah, man, you can't move to China, you know, and yeah, you know, and even my dad, he was kind of like on the suspicious side. I wouldn't say negative, but he was kind of like, yeah, China? He's like, nah, he thought I was joking actually. He's like, nah, not China. And he's like, you don't speak Chinese, and why would you want to move to some place where, you know, you're the minority and stuff, and you know, you don't know. He like, what do you know about China? And I was like, bro, I've been doing my research. And he's like, with what money are you gonna move to China? I've been saving my money. I have my money. I can pay for my tuition.
Yeah.
For, you know, 2 semesters, and as soon as I land, I'm gonna look for a job, and I'm gonna hustle until I can, you know, I'm gonna pay for school myself. I'm gonna pay for my apartment or where I gotta live myself. I'm gonna eat on my own. And he's just like, nah, man, you crazy. And I was like, yeah, my mom was like, listen, if you believe you can do it, then just do it. And I was like, yeah, I know how to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Again. Yeah, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I've been, you know, and now look at me. I'm a big grown man. I'm here still doing it for 9 years. And now I'm the one, you know, and, you know, at first, you know, my mom, of course, my mom knows, she would like ask you, you need something, you know, she would send me something, or you have your aunts or some, you know, they send you a little something on the side, you know, but now it's flipped the script, whereas it's like, you know, it's like me, I'm the one taking care of you now. Like, you know, you took care of me all my life. Now it's time for me to help you out. So my mom messaged me like, yo, are you good? You need anything? I'm like, nah, you need anything? And she's like, you know, I'm like, yo, here's some money, put that on the mortgage. And she's like, put that on the mortgage and be good.
How good that feels, bro.
Man, listen,
oh God.
My mom cried, bro. I sent my mom money early, like last week. I was like, yo, I've been saving this money, put this on the mortgage. Put this on the mortgage. And man, my mom, she called me and she cried, bro. Like, she's like, nah, this is too much and stuff. And I was like, nah, like, you know, I know things, especially because of COVID, you know, it's stopped a lot of jobs. And honestly, even my dad, he's not working right now. Like, you know, he's not working. Oh, he's working, but he's not working as much as he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he's making, you know, so COVID has really pushed a lot of people back. And I was like, yo, I'm in a better situation than you are here. like do this and take care of these things that are important and make sure you're good. And I make sure that to keep up with everything that I need to, I write them down.
Yeah.
Like finances, appointments, things that I want, everything. I got a planner. I got me a planner. I have a planner. I write things down every single day.
Yes.
Quotes, anything that comes to mind, I need to write it down.
Yeah.
And I make sure that, I'm always 2 steps ahead, kind of thinking, because I don't ever want to be put in a situation whereas I'm kind of like, regretting.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for sharing that, Cliff. Ken, we will end with you. I want to continue this conversation so bad, and we are, because this is just, I hope that you feel like this conversation has been fulfilling and worthwhile. So Ken, I'll let you finish, share your thoughts, and then I'll end our session for today.
Very similar. Grew up with quite a lot of females in my family as well. I didn't mention this, but my dad wasn't around. So it was just my mom, my sister, and I.
Yeah.
Just pushing through, growing up. You learn a lot. You have to grow up a little bit faster, unfortunately. You get to see things and everything, but you don't really get to experience like simple pleasures. And I find myself enjoying simple things now that you can afford it and whatnot. Very similar to what the guys were saying about, learning how to cook and just take care of yourself and stuff, because my mom was busy working 2 jobs and stuff. So you have to make sure you cooked or you didn't eat.
Right.
So yeah. And I'll just share just one little thing. I noticed, I don't know if it's a Caribbean thing or whatnot, but whenever you leave the house, your mom or my sister would always look at you and be like, okay, yeah, your hair's not right, or you shoot, that's not right, fix that, do that. Like, oh, you're looking at Ashley, you put some lotion on. And then, like they always felt like you were like, yeah, Vaseline, you're ambassadors. So every time you left the house, you're representing, the family and stuff. So being here in China, I know it's tough because I had locks here with the, the hair, but, like there's a barber here that's black hair, let's shout out to him. Mike, he does that. He gives me a cut, just get cleaned up. My outward appearance is very important. Not to like put a lot of emphasis on how you look, but just, your interaction with people all the time. Like when I put suits on, iron things, going through that process of, how you look, it can kind of give you a little bit of confidence to get out there and talk to people and meet with people. You don't have to do it all the time, but like it, look good, feel good kind of.
Yeah.
So just getting yourself right and taking care of yourself. I had some people, drop some gems with, manicures and stuff, because I wasn't like exposed to that growing up. So I was looking at me like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. but now, someone says, oh, now you're gonna do this. Okay, you're gonna do it. You're like, oh, okay.
Listen,
I can feel this.
I better go get them pedicures.
Yeah. It's I don't know, if Black men, you got to take someone to come and tell you like, yeah, stop playing around, you do this. Because you always have this kind of mindset where, that's not for me, or like, I ain't doing that, or I'm a man, I ain't doing that. But I mean, somebody gives you some gems, like, all right, cool, I'm gonna try this. And then just going through that whole process of, taking care of yourself, taking care of your house first, like someone mentioned, and taking care of your home, taking care of yourself, and how you go there. And like, if you can't help yourself or take care of yourself, how are you going to be able to help people, or, take care of a situation at your job? So, that's just, I'll just leave that there.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for sharing. I know I said that was it. I just have one more. I just have to ask you, and I want y'all to be brief, right? But I want you to share with me, moving forward, now that we've started this discussion, not that it's the first discussion that you've had, what does it look like briefly to engage in more emotional wellness? Whoever wants to start.
I'll give a photo to Keith and Cliff.
I'll be honest, I'm not the best person to engage in emotional wellness. I have a few things like hobbies, basketball, I try to play a little bit. That just gets me in the right mental space if I'm having a, that kind of day or that kind of time period. Music, obviously, a lot of hip hop, rap, whatever, Caribbean soca music. Get into the gym, just release some of the endorphins, just slap some metal, just run or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But in terms of reaching out and speaking to people, I would only do that with people that I'm close to. Sometimes it's good to talk to a complete stranger. It's always easier said than done, because sometimes you're putting yourself out there. There's always risk, and I'm not going to be hypocrite. I'm not just that person to do that. So
I hear you. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that how you feel, a lot of people feel that way. That's why, me, I am a staunch advocate for therapy. So what I'm going to do in the show notes is share some resources and some links that you all or other people can use when it comes to finding somebody to talk to. We have Lifeline Beijing here. But what you're sharing is key, but also knowing that you do have a safe space to share is going to help you to move forward in that area too. Gentlemen?
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that having someone to, open up to and talk to and communicate with is very important. For me, it's my family and, my girlfriend. Being able to open up and talk about certain things and is something that is not easy, especially the situations as well. It's not as easy to ask for help. It's not easy to, talk about certain things. And it's like knowing when to put those kind of feelings aside and sort of like, take the leap forward and open up about what you want, what you need, and kind of communicate, because your emotions, they take a toll on you sometimes if you're not careful. And, that's that baggage you carry around with you. And I know I've learned, that if you're not careful, if you like continue carrying around, you let it pile on you too much, that weight on your shoulders, you're going to break one day, and it's going to, cause you to be in a place that you're not supposed to. You're just going to have some emotional breakdown some random day, So it's good to let it out. It's good to communicate with people and, find that person or persons that you can, be, open with completely and talk to whenever you need to talk to. You can even help people with their problems as well. I mean, not everyone's great on advice, but, people do need people to listen, right? They need someone to listen to. They need someone who they can, vent to, who's gonna be supportive in some kind of way. And I think that's very important as well. Let me help you by listening, or you help me by listening to my problems.
Yeah.
And also being, down for constructive criticism as well. Sometimes
From the
people
right
give you,
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
the right people. When they provide you some sort of, constructive criticism or some tough love, you got to understand, that, it's coming from a good place and not a bad place,
Right. But I would definitely say don't accept criticism from people that have not walked the path that you're trying to get to.
Right.
And criticism doesn't have to be wrapped in brutality. It can be wrapped in loving kindness and empathy and still constructive. So that's why I say you consider the source when you are accepting that type of critique. Thank you, Cliff. All right, Cheryl, we got a few more minutes. Go ahead and share your wisdom, sir.
I just want to touch upon what Cliff and Kian said. Like, as Cliff said, like, I like the fact that he emphasized that people just need to sometimes have someone to listen. It's not always like, actually, I learned this from my partner currently, because I'm a person, when you talk to me, like, I hear, and before I would always try to solve things. I was trying to help. And it was after a while, my girlfriend said that, yeah, I love that part, but sometimes I don't do this. Sometimes I don't want advice. Like, I know how to fix this, but I just want to release these emotions.
Yeah.
And I think it took a few months of practice to get it into the drive of it. I was asking, is venting or nice time? And she would tell me the difference, because it depends. But yeah, like, you always need someone to just listen sometimes, as well as getting proper constructive criticism. Not just, as you said, not brutality, but giving criticism in a way that, the person will understand, because again, not everyone is the same. So depending on how you do criticism, constructive criticism has to differ. Like, is it a person who can take it straight on? Is it the person where you have to dance around it a bit, etc., just to make sure it helps them? Again, it started off with my mom. She was always there to listen whenever she could. And right now, it's definitely my partner. She's always there to listen. She's always there to give advice. She's always there to be there. And like, I never truly had that before in a part. Like, I wouldn't say she's the first, but she definitely does it the best. I've been therapeutic whenever I'm in a mood. Whether I know that this thing will be okay. Like, I may know that this moment is going to be okay, or I'll get past it, but it's still like in that same moment, you want someone to listen to you and hear whatever dark side you're going through, and that you've shared it, and that it gets off your shoulders, and that you're free of that weight.
Yeah. Thank you. So, gentlemen, I am grateful for everyone that has chosen to come and share your perspectives, your experiences, offer your wisdom. Again, I hope that we can further this conversation. And for those that are watching, I want to thank you for tuning into another episode of Black and Abroad, the Black Men Abroad special edition. I encourage you to keep taking risks. I want you to keep impacting your communities. And most importantly, make sure that you are continuing to prioritize your mental health. And please help us by sharing these episodes in your spheres of influence. And if you have any questions, just let us know. But I wanted to say thank you. And with that, we are going to sign off and say peace. Thank you.
You